Hey everyone, welcome to part 19 of this trophy and achievement guide for the original Final Fantasy VII. We just completed Disc 2 and now we're heading straight into Disc 3. The game wants us to go down into the northern cave, and in fact this crew member will throw out the ladder for us, but we can completely ignore him and go back inside the Highwind because we've got other stuff to do before we go down into the northern cave. So let's run across the catwalk here and go all the way over into the cockpit where we can talk to the pilot, and we're going to start flying the Highwind. In the last part, we returned to Midgar, and I said that we could have gotten the VII materia while we were there, but it would have taken a while and it's kind of boring to do that. So instead what we're going to do is just to fly the Highwind over to the Bone Village area, and then we're going to go inside and do a little bit of excavating. So once you're in here, we're going to go inside, and before we do the excavating though, we are going to buy something, and we want to buy in particular 3 of these rune armlets. They offer double AP growth for our materia, which makes our leveling of materia go a lot faster. So once you have those 3 rune armlets, then what you want to do is to tell the excavator foreman that you want to start digging, and then you want good treasure. There's one particular place that we want to dig up, and we're actually going to do it 2 times in a row. It's right here, right along the right side wall. There's a little break in the silver line there where it's dark on the ground. You want to stand right in front of it looking toward the left or toward the bottom left corner, and then you want to call in the dig at this point. And then what happens is overnight they will excavate this area and we'll be able to pick up our item from the treasure chest. So let's go ahead and open that treasure chest, and we'll receive a mop that is actually a weapon for Cid. What we want to do now is to do the same thing. We're going to say start digging, and we want good treasure. We'll stand in the exact same spot that we were before. So go over to the right wall, right where this break in the silver line is, where the ground is dark. Face toward the bottom left, and we're going to order our search in this area after we ignite the bomb, and then we will get our new item once we excavate this area. Let's go ahead and open up that treasure chest, and inside is going to be the VII materia. That's a lot faster than running through a bunch of subway tunnels and getting in a lot of annoying fights. Well, now let's go back outside, hop onto our gold chocobo, and we're going to get into the Highwind. We're going to fly over to the Cosmo Canyon area so that we can pick up Red 13's ultimate weapon. So let's start by flying over toward the southwest, and we're going to land in the grassy spot a little bit north of where Cosmo Canyon is, and we'll ride our gold chocobo right outside of Cosmo Canyon. Luckily the gold chocobo can run right up the mountain, so it's a very quick trip. But before we go inside, we're going to use that PHS command, and we're going to get rid of Barrett and bring in Red 13 because we need him for this next part. Now let's run inside of Cosmo Canyon, and we'll get a scene when we go up top. Nanaki, it's really bad. Ever since Bugenhagen returned from that last trip, he doesn't seem well. Why don't you hurry and see Bugenhagen? We're going to run up the stairs all the way up to the planetary observatory, and we'll have a cutscene with Bugenhagen when we get up to the top. While we run up the stairs, we've got just a moment for you to hit that like button if you're enjoying these videos, and also leave me a comment down below letting me know what game you'd like to see me cover in the future. I've got a couple projects in mind right now, but I always really like that community feedback so I can give you guys exactly what you're looking for. Now that we're up top, let's go inside and get a cutscene. Grandfather. Grandfather. Nanaki, you're still here? I can't leave you like this, Grandfather. It's the duty of Seto's son to guard this canyon and her people. Listen, Nanaki, I think you may already know. If you have any mission in life, it is not to defend this valley. Look at the withering mountain grass. Listen to the warble of the newborn chocobos. Look always to the eternal flow of time, which is far greater than the span of a human life. It will teach you more than staying here in the valley. What you will see will eventually become a part of the life stream. For my children and for your children. So please, Nanaki, go with Cloud and use your eyes, your ears. Ho, ho, ho. Now, don't look like that. I'm alright. It's a big world, and you must go out and see it. You may even find your life's mate. You never know. Grandfather. Oh yes, take this along. I think it will look good on you now. Ho, ho. Red 13, is Bugenhagen? Grandpa told me that he's going away again. Away? It seems like he really liked that airship. He told me he couldn't stay still and just zipped out of here. He even gave me a gift. Look. Received limited moon. Wait a minute. Aren't you supposed to give gifts after you come back? Haha, Grandpa sure is strange. Ha, 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 ha. Maybe we'll run into him again somewhere. Yeah, maybe. Thanks, Cloud. Now that we're back together, let's have a quick look at what that limited moon weapon actually is. It's one of Red 13's weapons, and it's going to have good attack and attack percentage, lots of materia slots, but no materia growth, just like all the other ultimate weapons that we've been collecting. Well, now let's go on and get out of here. There's nothing more we need to do in Cosmo Canyon, so we'll go ahead and leave. And our new objective is to get both Cloud and Red 13 to learn all of their limit breaks, and we'll get the trophies for doing that as a part of that process. To begin, we're going to fly over toward the Fort Condor area, because we actually want to do a little bit of shopping there before we go crazy with trying to max out those limit breaks. So start by flying over toward the east, and we're going to land outside of Fort Condor, and then we're going to run in all the way up to where the shops are. So we'll run away from the camera and into the cave. We're going to interact with the rope, and we're going to climb all the way up to the top. Keep climbing up the rope to the top, and then use the ladder on the right side to climb up to the main area. And now it's just a quick trip over to the right side of the screen where we can use another ladder to climb up, and we're going to talk to the person on the right side who will sell us some materia. What we want to do is buy all materia. We currently have 5 of them equipped and 15 owned. What I want to do is buy 15 more of these all materia so that I have a total of 30 owned and 5 equipped at this point. So that's a good number, exactly what we need to master some all materias, and that will provide us with all the money that we need for a future trophy. So once we have all of those all materias purchased, we're going to head on out of here and back outside. Once we're outside, we'll get onto our gold chocobo and then board the high wind. We're going to fly it over toward the south so that we can go over to the Medeal area. What we want to do is actually to go into Medeal so that we can do a little bit of shopping. That will just allow us to purchase some items that will make a future part potentially a little bit safer. So once we're over here, we're going to run into the big green Mako pool that is Medeal, and we're going to go over and up the left side grassy ramp. Once we're up here, we'll go talk to the girl that's by this white chocobo, and we're going to talk to her, and we want to buy some items. So we'll say, show me your items, the first option. If you're running a little bit low on those hypers or tranquilizers, feel free to purchase a couple, but we're really here to buy those remedies. We want to buy maybe 10 of them or so. They're not terribly expensive and they can really help us out in a later section. So go ahead, grab a few of those, and now we're going to head back outside and get ready to grind a whole ton of kills with both Cloud and with the Red 13. Once we're outside, we'll have a look at our equipment and our materia setup. Cloud is equipped with the Apocalypse weapon for triple AP growth. He also has the Rune Armlet for double AP growth and the Curse Ring to boost his stats. Tifa has the Power Soul, the Rune Armlet, and the Ribbon. And Red 13 is equipped with the Spring Gun Clip, the Rune Armlet, and the Power Wrist. Doesn't really matter what his accessory is, I just threw that on there for fun. Alright, now let's go ahead and look at what the materia setup is. Cloud is going to be equipped on his armor with just 3 all materias so that they will grow very quickly. And now he also has slash all, long range, and 2 more all materias. Tifa only has all materias equipped throughout her equipment slots, and Red 13 has double cut that we want to level up to 4 times cut. He also has 3 all materias, as well as the magic plus materia and restore, so we can get some healing, and on his armor just a bunch of all materias. So once you're good to go there, we're going to run around, and if you haven't done this already, get 120 kills to unlock Blade Beam. After that, what we want to do is to get 200 more kills with Cloud so that we can unlock Meteorain. Now, if you've been avoiding a lot of the fights through this playthrough like what I have, it might take you quite a while to get all of those kills with Cloud. Luckily, slash all should be enough to take out all the enemies very quickly, and it won't take too terribly long until you get all the kills that you need to get Meteorain. So once you have that limit break unlocked, you're going to be good to go for this next section. We'll have a quick look and we'll see that we have learned Braver Cross Slash, Blade Beam, and Meteorain. We don't have the second one for level 2 or the second one for level 3 yet. We'll get those in a special method in just a moment. We're going to exchange the slash all materia with the Red 13's times 2 cut materia. So once you do that, then you also want to switch out the HP plus materia for long range. So the yellow and purple materia need to switch between Cloud and Red 13. Let's have a quick look at Red 13's limit breaks. We have Sled Fang and Lunatic High, and now we need to get 72 kills with Red 13 to unlock Blood Fang. So let's go around and do the same method, just trying to kill these enemies. If you're a little bit of a low level with Red 13, you might not be able to kill the enemies in one go with slash all. If that's the case, even if you have the Curse Ring equipped and you're not able to do that, then you can switch out slash all for enemy skill, and you can just use Aqua Lung to kill these guys very quickly. It's up to you how you do this, whether you just want to slash all or Aqua Lung them, but once you get your 72 kills with Red 13, then you're going to unlock his next limit break. After getting your 72 kills, you'll get Blood Fang. That's the new limit break that we're looking for, and we're going to go into the limit menu again to check that out and to set it. So you want to use the set command to set level 2 Blood Fang, and now we're going to go around and get 72 more kills to unlock Howling Moon. So we're not going to do the part where we actually have to farm the uses of the limit break. We'll do that in a very quick way in just a moment. So instead, go around and kill the enemies. I decided to use Aqua Lung instead, because even after some levels I still wasn't quite strong enough to be able to eliminate these enemies with slash all, but Aqua Lung will always take these enemies out no problem. So after we've gotten our additional 72 kills, we get our next limit break, which is Howling Moon. So now that that's all done, we've unlocked the limit breaks that we need to the hard way. Now we're going to get the other ones the easy way. Let's get onto our gold chocobo, and we're going to go over to the high wind and get on that so that we can start to do a little bit of flying. What we want to do is head to the southwest corner of the map. There's a lot of blank ocean over in that corner, and there's actually a very hidden island that you can't see on the mini map. Even if you zoom in all the way, you won't be able to see it. But just go down into the oceany areas where you can't see any land and keep flying straight toward the west, and soon you're going to run across this little island here. There's a small patch of grass that you can land the high wind on, and there's going to be a large desert area. This island is known as Cactus Island. Let's have a quick look at our equipment. Cloud has the Apocalypse and the Rune Armlet. Tifa has the Power Soul and the Rune Armlet. And Red 13 has the Spring Gun Clip, the Rune Armlet, and the Hypno Crown, a very important accessory to have. Cloud's got all materia on his weapons. He also has Mime, W item, Time, as well as another all materia. Tifa's got only all materia, and Red 13 has Transform. He also has Manipulate and Restore, and a bunch of all materias as well. So a couple specialty things that you need to have in order to do this trick. And once you're ready, we're going to run around this island until we get into a fight with an enemy called a Cactur. It can take quite a while for this guy to show up, so just be patient with it, but eventually you'll get into a fight with him. He's got some basic kick attack that you can do, or use 1,000 needles to do a guaranteed 1,000 damage to that character. What you want to do is to start out by casting Mini on whoever is going to be using the limit break. In this case, it's going to be Cloud with Blade Beam, so I'll Mini him, and he'll only be able to do 1 damage with his limit break. Now what we're going to do is to have Cloud cast Haste on himself so that he can move a lot faster. We're going to then have Red 13 use Manipulate on the Cactar so that he is under our control and he won't be attacking without us telling him to. Now we're going to do a trick with the W item command so that we can duplicate this item called the Vaccine that we picked up a long time ago. What you want to do is to select the vaccine, pushing the X button and the X button again, and then you want to select another item like this grenade with the X button, and then hit circle to cancel that. And then repeat that process of hitting X and circle as many times as you want to, and anytime that you do that, it's going to give you 1 more of the first item you selected, in this case the vaccine. And you can do it for any item that you can use in battle, like this hero drink. That's a very powerful item. We can make many copies of it just like that. You can do it for the remedies or mega elixirs, anything you want to. So once you have enough of vaccines, what you're going to do is to use one of those vaccines with Tifa. What the vaccine does is it prevents an enemy from changing its status. So in this case, its status is it's manipulated. Now it can't be unmanipulated. So even if we attack it, it will stay manipulated, which is great. We're going to use Blade Beam with Cloud, and he will only do 1 damage thanks to his mini status, so this enemy isn't going to die anytime soon. And now that it's Cloud's turn again, we're going to have him use the Mime command so that he will mime Blade Beam, and this will actually count as a second usage of Blade Beam. So between using Blade Beam and miming it, we have to do that 7 times in battle in order to unlock his next limit break. So I'm just going to speed things up really quick here and get to the point where we are done using all of those Blade Beams in combat. It goes pretty quickly, especially if Cloud is hasted. You'll go through all of those 7 uses very, very quickly. And then once you have all of those uses done, now it's just time to kill off the Cactar. So we'll manipulate him to use 1,000 needles on himself, and then Tifa can attack. If you move her to the front row, she'll do more damage. She should be able to do about 1,000 or so damage with her attack, and you'll do 1,000 damage guaranteed with 1,000 needles. This enemy has 6,000 HP, so basically just 6 attacks between Tifa and the manipulated 1,000 needles, and this enemy will be eliminated pretty quickly like that. And we will get the result screen for the battle, and we will get our new limit break with Cloud. So we've successfully used and mimed Blade Beam 7 times, and now we're going to get Climhazzard as our next limit break. So now that we have that, we're going to go into the menu down to limit, and we're going to set the level 3 limit for Meteorain. And now let's run around the desert a little bit longer until we get into a fight with another one of those Cacturs. We're going to do basically the same process here. Starting off, we're going to use Mini on Cloud so that he will shrink down to tiny form. We're going to have Cloud use Haste on himself. Then we're going to have Red 13 use his Manipulate command so that we take control of the Cactuar. And now what we're going to do is to use the vaccine on him. We don't have to duplicate it because we've already done that in the last battle, but we'll just have Tifa use the vaccine on the Cactuar. And now that we've got him manipulated, we're going to have him use 1000 needles on Cloud. It's going to do quite a bit of damage to him and fill up his limit gauge nicely. If you want this to go a little bit faster, use one of those items called Hyper, and that will give Cloud the Fury status, and he will take the same amount of damage. It's still that guaranteed 1000 damage, but it's going to charge up his limit gauge a lot faster. So no real risk in terms of taking more damage. You just get the reward for getting a quicker filled up limit gauge. You can have Tifa heal Cloud if he gets a little bit low on HP, but you should be able to go through this without Cloud dying. Just keep an eye on it. Now, because this enemy is not going to be able to do any attacks against us without us telling it to, you can get Cloud down into critical status without fear of him dying. Well, now what we're going to do is to use that Meteorain limit with Cloud, and he's going to call forth a whole bunch of meteors to strike down on the enemy, but because he's a mini status, they'll only do 1 damage each. And now, of course, we're just going to keep miming that over and over again until we use or mime Meteorain 6 times in battle. So let's go ahead, speed it up one more time, and we're going to then get to the end of this very quickly. So I've used it 2 times. Here's number 3. Number 4, number 5, number 6. Alright, and we're all set. Just for fun, I'll have Tifa use her limit breaks so that she's able to attack the enemy, and that should be enough to take them out no problem. With the Cactuar defeated and all of our Meteorains used, we now get our reward, and that's going to be the finishing touch limit. That's the last one that we have to teach Cloud. We don't have his item to use just yet. We'll have to get that in just a moment. Let's go into our equipment, and we're going to take off the Hypno Crown from Red 13, and we're going to transfer that over to Cloud instead. So Cloud will be our manipulator, and we're basically just going to switch the materia between Cloud and Red 13. Cloud is going to trade the Mime Materia for the Transform Materia that's currently on Red 13. Swap Manipulate for W item. And finally switch Time for Restore. You're basically just switching everything except for those all Materias. Alright, now we're going to heal up, and then we're going to keep doing the same thing that we were doing, only it's going to be with reversed roles, so that Red 13 is the one using his limit breaks. I'm also going to give a Hyper to Red 13 to put him into Fury status to make this go a little bit quicker. Now it's time to run around the island once again until we get into a fight with that Cactuar. Let's use the same strategy, but we'll have to use different characters to accomplish it. So we'll start off the fight with Cloud casting the Magic Mini onto Red 13. And now that he's shrinking down, we're going to have Red 13 cast Haste onto himself. Cloud is then going to use the Manipulate command on the Cactuar. Tifa is going to use a vaccine on the Cactuar. And then Cloud is going to manipulate the Cactuar to use 1000 needles onto Red 13 until his limit gauge is all the way filled up. Now that it's filled up, Red 13 will use Blood Fang on the Cactuar. It does 1 damage, and then when Red 13's limit gauge fills again, we'll keep miming it until we use Blood Fang for a total of 7 times. So that was number 2. Let's speed it up. Here's number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, and because I lost count, number 8, And now let's get rid of his 6,000 HP by using a combination of 1,000 needles that is manipulated back onto himself, and have Tifa attack. If you move her to the front row, she'll do more damage. Once the Cactuar is defeated and you have successfully used Blood Fang 7 or 8 times if you're bad at counting, you'll unlock Stardust Ray. That's the next limit break for Red 13. We're going to go into the menu down to the limit command, and we want to set Red 13's level 3 limit break called Howling Moon. So go ahead and do that. And before we go on, what we're going to do is to go into the equip screen, and we're going to equip Red 13 with a ribbon. Howling Moon would inflict the Berserk status, meaning that we could not control Red 13 anymore, and that would be very bad for us because that means that we wouldn't be able to mime it anymore. So instead, we're going to prevent that with the ribbon, make sure that they're all healed up, and now we're going to get back into the fight and do the same process all over again. Starting off the fight, Cloud is going to use Mini on Red 13 to shrink him down. Red 13 is going to use Haste on himself. Cloud is going to use the Manipulate command on the Cactuar. Tifa is going to use a Vaccine on the Cactuar. Cloud is going to manipulate the Cactuar to cast 1,000 needles on Red 13 until his limit gauge is all filled up. Now we'll have Red 13 use the limit Howling Moon on himself. He's going to jump up, howl, and be in front of the moon, and that will ultimately result in it missing because we use the ribbon to block that Berserk status. Now we just have to keep miming it until he uses or mimes Howling Moon a total of 6 times, and that's all that's required. So that's the second time. Let's speed it up a bit. Here's number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. And once that's done, let's go ahead and eliminate him, and then we will be all set with learning all of Red 13's limit breaks. Now you might be wondering, how long does it actually take to do all the stuff that I showed in this video so far? Well, from the time that we started fighting enemies with Cloud to learn his limit breaks until this moment, it's about an hour and a half of playtime, so not a terribly long period of time. And during that period, we also got 6 more levels for Cloud, and we also got a lot of AP for our Materia. After using that Howling Moon limit 6 times, we learned to Earth Rave. That's the last thing that we have to teach Red 13 through battle. Now let's go into our items. We'll scroll down a little ways until we find Cosmo Memory, and that will teach Red 13 his final limit break called Cosmo Memory. And when we do that, we get the trophy called A Universe of Pain. So we're all set with that. Now what we need to do is to actually teach Cloud his final limit break, but we have to go and earn it through the battle arena. I'll show you a really handy trick for getting this done easily. You'll just want to run around here until you can get into a fight with another Cactuar. We need to fill up Cloud's limit gauge until it is full, but we're not going to use his limit. So all we have to do is to manipulate this Cactuar, and we're just going to keep using that 1,000 needles until Cloud gets all the way up to his limit gauge being filled, and then we can either eliminate the enemy or just run away. It doesn't really matter which you choose. So get Cloud's limit gauge filled up and then get out of battle one way or another. Well, now that Cloud's limit gauge is filled, let's go ahead and run away from the battle, and we'll see that when we open up the menu, we still have a full limit gauge for Cloud. He's ready to use a limit in his next battle. What we want to do is to use a couple tranquilizers on Cloud to put him into the sadness status effect so that he'll take less damage in battle. We'll get onto our gold chocobo and then onto the high wind, and now we're going to fly up to Corel so that we can go back to the gold saucer. We're going to land right outside, and then we're going to head into Corel, and we're going to travel to the gold saucer. Just keep running over toward the left, and then what we're going to do is to go into the cable car and take it up into the gold saucer. Alright, let's run over here to the ticket lady. You can either purchase the one-time pass for 3,000 gil, or you can purchase the lifetime pass for 30,000 gil. It doesn't really matter which one you choose. I'm going to buy the lifetime one in a little while, but for now we only need 3,000 gil to purchase the one-time pass because that's all we're really going to need at this point. Now what we're going to do is keep transitioning between this screen and the beginning screen, keep going back and forth here until you see a guy standing in the back corner way past that save point. If you go back here and talk to him, he will offer to exchange gil for GP, and that's very important for us. We're going to choose to give him 10,000 gil in exchange for 100 GP. We're going to say yes, that's okay. We'll make the exchange and then he's going to go away. Now let's go back into the gold saucer building and then return to this screen. Just go back and forth until he reappears. It can show up the very next time, or it could take you a long time to get to that point. From my estimation, it's somewhere around maybe a 10 or 15% chance that he actually shows up there. So it can take a couple times transitioning back and forth, but eventually he'll show up again. We'll run over there and talk to him and do another exchange. We can only do that 100 GP for 10,000 gil at a time, and what you want to do is to get to the point where you have a couple hundred GP. At this point, if you step onto the save point, it will tell you how many you have in the bottom right hand corner. I've got 410 at this point, and that's more than enough. Eventually we're going to need 2,000 GP, but for our purposes right now, 300 or 400 should be totally enough to do that. It took me about 10 minutes of running back and forth to get all of that GP through the exchange. We're going to go into the battle square and we're going to run all the way up to the top so that we can take part in the battle arena. Let's have a look at Cloud's equipment and materia. These are going to be solo fights, so we only care about Cloud. He's going to be in the front row with a full limit gauge and the sadness status effect. For his equipment, he has the Ultima weapon, that is his best weapon, and he also has the Misstyle armor. And finally, he's got the accessory of the ribbon so that we can negate a lot of abnormal status effects. As far as the materia goes, he's equipped with enemy skill, mime, HP plus, and another one, magic plus, and another one, added effect, and Hades on his weapon so that when we attack, we can do a lot of status effects. On his armor, we have double cut leveled up to 4 times cut. You could also use slash all, but I prefer to use 4 times cut for this purpose. He also has restore, death blow linked with added cut, luck plus, and finally steel, which has been leveled up to mug. Really, it's only for the +2 to dexterity. So that's all that we really need. Let's go ahead and talk to the woman at the counter. She'll give us a little bit of dialogue if you've never talked to her in the past. But once you get through that, then we'll have the option of actually choosing to go into the battle arena. So let's go ahead and say that we're going to register for battle. Let's do it. And we'll choose which character we want to use. We're going to use Cloud. We're going to do 8 battles in a row, and it will get progressively harder as we go, but don't worry, at this point it'll be more than easy, and Cloud's going to show them how it's done. where you automatically run into the battle arena, and the first battle is always pretty easy. You might have to watch out for one of the first enemies. They look like these little caterpillar things, and they will be able to inflict slow on you if they hit you with silk. That's kind of a problem though. Sometimes it will miss, however. Our mistile does great at evading attacks. And all we have to do is to use our limit break finishing touch to eliminate all of these enemies instantly, and that's going to be the end of that battle. We're going to then have to choose which handicap we have. It doesn't really matter what you choose. You typically want to use the things that impact you the least at the beginning, and the stuff that impacts you a lot at the very end of the battle arena. So starting off with the first one, we get inflicted with mini, but because we have the ribbon on, it doesn't do anything to us. Now all we have to do is to mime what we did before, which was our limit break finishing touch. And we're able to do this over and over. Every battle that we get into, we can use finishing touch, and what it does is it will instantly kill the enemies there unless they can't be killed instantly, in which case it's going to do a lot of damage to them. The status effect this time was to lose half of our MP, but that's fine because we don't really need MP anyway. All these frog jabs do nothing to us because we have our ribbon equipped, and we can mime finishing touch again to eliminate all of these enemies. Let's spin the wheel for another one of these. If you tap square, you can actually slow it down quite a bit, and you can be a little bit choosier about it. I don't really care so much about that, so I just chose to hit the button whenever I wanted to, and it ended up with me breaking my armor. So that's kind of a bad thing. It means that I'll be getting hit a lot more because the mistile really specializes in evading attacks. That's why you'll see a lot of misses from both physical and magic attacks. But if it's broken, it doesn't work so well. We're going to mime finishing touch again to eliminate all these enemies, and once they're gone, we're going to have to contend with getting another negative effect. Let's spin the wheel of detriments. This time it lands on half MP again, so effectively I have a quarter of the MP that I started with. This big Minotaur guy is pretty tough, but what we can do is to, of course, mime finishing touch. But you'll see that he does not die instantly from this attack. Instead, what happens is if they can't be killed, they fall to the ground and it does significant damage to them, which is enough to actually kill him. Interestingly though, he doesn't fade away, he just stands there until the next battle begins. We lost the ability to use our blue support materia in the slot reel. That's okay though, we don't really need it so much. Here's the Stilva. You think those things are pretty strong. We learned the Trine and the Magic Breath enemy skills from it in the Great Glacier, but we can take this guy out no problem with a finishing touch. He'll fly away, never to be seen from again. We'll get another detrimental status effect here. This time I get the mini status effect, but that's okay because I still have my ribbon and we're okay. If the slot machine breaks your accessory, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, especially if you fight this Malboro. He can really spell bad news with his bad breath. But if you are able to survive that, you could just use one of those remedies that we bought from Medeal, and you'll be okay. Finishing touch is enough to take out that Malboro, and now we're going to keep on going. This time we're trying to actually break all of our materia. That would have been awesome because that gives you a lot of points, but I broke the green materia. That's okay, I don't need those anyway. What you can do is you can use finishing touch on this guy, but you'll see that because he is actually an undead enemy, when you try to cast death on an undead enemy, it actually recovers them to full health. However, he does land hard after that, and he takes 9,999 damage. So now we can just go ahead and use Death Blow, and that would follow up with an added cut, or you could also choose to do 4 times cut. Doesn't matter. Once that enemy's eliminated, you're going to get all of your battle points. I got a pretty good haul there with over 10,000. Let's go and look at what we actually need to get in terms of BP. So if you run close to the entrance and you interact with the computer on the left, you'll be able to exchange your BP for certain items. On the second page, if you go down toward the bottom, you'll see Omnislash is 32,000 and W Summon is 64,000. So in total, we're going to need 96,000 BP, which will take approximately 10 battles or so. I'm not going to show all of those because that would, I think, be pretty boring for you. So just know that I'm going to skip ahead, basically using the same methodology of using Finishing Touch to clear out the enemies and then just keep miming it. Just for your fun though and for your entertainment, I'm going to do a little different way in this battle just so you can see the variety of our build. I'm going to start off by using Big Guard in the first fight. That just gives me some more speed. It's a little bit of a problem though if you get hit with Silk though, because it does lower your speed. And even though we have that ribbon equipped, it does not prevent against the slow status effect. So a little bit of a problem there if you get hit with that Silk attack. Now what we're going to do is to use our Magic Breath enemy skill, and that should be able to eliminate all these enemies very, very quickly. With all those enemies gone, we're going to have to spin the wheel to see what problem we have to deal with, and you'll see that we lose half of our speed. Kind of a problem, but we can use Big Guard once again to get our speed back. So let's go ahead and do that. Petrified Frog isn't something that we need to worry about because we do, of course, have our ribbon still equipped, so no worries there. And the Mistile is going to do a great job at helping us to dodge the enemy attacks while we set up Big Guard and get all of our speed back. Let's go ahead and attack the enemy here. We can use Magic Breath just to clear them all out, and then we're going to be moving on to the third battle of this battle arena. We're spinning the wheel again. This time we do get our accessory broken. That is a big problem for us, but we of course can use remedies if we really need to. Magic Breath isn't going to actually kill these guys outright, so it might take a couple casts, or of course you could just use Finishing Touch and keep miming that. I like kind of keeping it in my back pocket too if I'm going to spice things up and try it a different way. Just keeping that limit gauge ready to go is perfect. And every time you go into the battle arena, it resets your limit gauge to what it was before you went into it the last time. So even though we used Finishing Touch a number of times throughout that first trip through the battle arena, when we come back into it, we still have a full limit gauge. So it's very important to make sure that you're full on health, MP, and your limit gauge before you go into the battle arena, because every time you go into it, you'll also start off with full HP, MP, and limit gauge. Sometimes enemies in the battle arena will use enemy skills, like level 4 Suicide. We also saw the Stilva earlier, where we learned Trine and Magic Breath, as well as the Malboro that can teach Bad Breath. However, none of those things can be learned in the battle arena. You cannot learn enemy skills in this battle arena because the game checks for the enemy skill when you get to the final fanfare and battle results screen. But because we don't get that when we get through the battle arena, it skips right over that check, and that means that we can't actually learn them in this fight. I learned here that Magic Breath doesn't actually do anything to these enemies, so don't bother doing that. They're completely immune to it. So we've got to change up our strategy a little bit, and what we're going to do is to go ahead and use our Finishing Touch limit break just to clear out these enemies pretty quickly. I was looking at all the other enemy skills, trying to see if there's something I wanted to do. I guess I could have used Shadow Flare, but it only attacks one of the enemies and it uses a lot of MP, so I didn't want to go that route, and I figured that Finishing Touch will be enough to finish off these enemies very quickly, and we'll be able to move on. Alright, let's spin the wheel again, and this time it's going to land on no items. Well, this is kind of a problem because we lost our accessory earlier, and now we're going to lose the ability to use items and use remedies in case we get afflicted by something bad. So luckily we still have our Mistile, and that's going to do a good job of helping us to dodge things like that Sleeple. We can use Finishing Touch to finish off these enemies, and then we're going to go into our next round. Let's spin the wheel again. This time it's going to land on 0 MP, so we can't use any more enemy skills like that. Instead, what we're going to do is just use Death Blow against this blue dragon. It's going to do a lot of damage and also follow up with that added cut. Shouldn't take too long for you to eliminate the enemies. One thing to keep in mind though is that the Ultima weapon does more damage the closer you are to full HP. So if you're down to half of your health, it's actually going to do much less damage than if you're at full health. So just keep that in mind. We lost all of our materia in that last reel, but that's actually a really good thing. This enemy goes down pretty quickly. We don't have any materia, so we can only use normal attacks, but that's totally fine. Just a couple of those attacks and he'll be gone. We got a pretty good variety of bad detrimental effects, meaning that we'll get a good number of battle points again. And that actually does bring us up to the point where we're over 32,000. We're going to go over and use this machine here, and we're going to exchange our battle points for the Omnislash item down way at the bottom here, just above W summon. So let's go ahead and get Omnislash, and now what we're going to do is to go into our items. We're going to scroll down a bit until we get to the point where we can see Omnislash, and we're going to use that on Cloud because we've learned all of his other limit breaks to this point. We'll learn Omnislash as well as get the trophy called the Slash to End All Slashes. We don't want to go ahead and set that though, because if we did that, we would lose all of our limit gauge, and that would be a bad thing. So keep it on level 3 with that full limit gauge. We're going to go back into the battle arena. We'll keep using those same kind of tactics until we get up to over 64,000 BP. And at that point, we'll be able to purchase the W summon materia from the same place that we just bought Omnislash. I skipped ahead to the end just because I finished everything in this run with the finishing touch and the mime materia, but I just lost all of my materia in the last round here, so I'll just have to fight this guy using only normal attacks, but he goes down pretty easily, and I actually got a lot of battle points for defeating this guy. I actually got over 12,000, and that's just what I needed to be able to purchase the W summon materia. So this guy's gone, he fades away, and we're going to then grab our reward. Like I said, I got over 12,000 here. No idea why it gave me that many, but with over 64,000 battle points, I can now purchase W summon, and that's going to be very important for defeating some of the weapons that we have to kill for some trophies. So let's go ahead and exchange 64,000 battle points for the W summon materia, and we're going to be all set. Let's go ahead and leave the gold saucer. If you want to, at this point, you can keep fighting in the battle arena in something called a special battle. It basically is just you squaring off against a variety of tough opponents from the first or the normal type of battle arena, followed by a one-on-one fight of your character versus the Proud Cloud that we fought in Midgar. So if you want to do that, you can get some pretty unique rewards for doing that, but it's not really worth our time and not required. So instead, we're just going to leave the gold saucer. It won't be the last time that we're here. We'll come back in a later part, but for now, that's all that we really have to do is to get Omnislash learned and to get the W summon materia. Let's hop out of this railway car, and we're going to run back through Corral, and we're going to go back outside. And this is where we're going to end part 19. I know it's kind of a shorter video in relation to some of the other ones, but there were a couple hours of gameplay built into this. So I hope you enjoyed this part. If you did, be sure to give me a like and also comment down below. Subscribe for more content like this. There's only 2 more parts until we wrap up this whole game, and I really hope that you join me for those. I'll see you soon for part 20. Until then, thanks for watching and have a good day.